Hi, I'm pastry chef Maria Kemp of Beyond Decadence, and welcome to Mastering the Details, a video series to teach you tips and tricks to make you more successful in the kitchen. These videos are unedited, so you're seeing real time how long it takes to do what I'm teaching you. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a parchment sling. I'm saying sling, S-L-I-N-G. Now, those are most commonly used in recipes where when it's done, they want you to be able to lift the baked product out of the pan so that way you can cool it completely or you can cut it. Because a lot of times when you leave it in the pan, it will keep baking, and that's not always desired. But think, for example, when you make brownies, you want to be able to lift them out so you can cut them into the sizes that you want. So I'm going to use this pan as my example. I've got out my stick of butter. You could use shortening if you wanted to, and the only reason I'm using this, you could give it a light spray with non-stick spray if you wanted, but the reason that I'm using the butter is because when I put the parchment paper in there, I want it to have something to stick to so it doesn't move around. If you don't put spray the pan, or butter it or grease it or something like that, the paper will just move, and when you pour your batter in, then your paper can just move all around the place. So that's why you do this. And you could use a paper towel like I showed you before to move this butter around. Usually I'd probably just spray it lightly, but I didn't bring my spray into the shot, so I'll just go with what I have. So I've got a piece of parchment paper here. This is a sheet. It's a little wet because I keep managing to put it in water, but it'll still work. And I already kind of got an idea of the size that I need, but let me show you how I did that. So to get the length, I took the pan and put it down on the paper and then saw how long the pan was. And then I just put a crease in it, so that way I would know where to cut. So this video didn't end up being like 10 minutes long with me trying to find the right size. You kind of open your scissors up and run it down, and there you go, got a little cut going on. And then you can lay it in there and see how close you came. Now, that's actually a little wide because I don't want a lot bunched up in the corners. So I'm going to fold it in a little bit more and trim it just a little bit more. Trying to get it flat, it wants to wrinkle. Okay, now I've got it flat, because I want this to lay right inside of the pan. I don't want it to be bunched up in the corners, because if you have it bunched up in the corners, then that's how your dessert's gonna come out. I'm just saying brownies in the example, but I don't want the brownies to be all bunched up in the corner. I put it down on the table and just crease this. I think I've got it now. There we go. If you get a nice crease in it, it will grip a lot better. Okay, that's much better. Okay, now I'm going to put it down and see. Yep, still needs to go a little bit smaller. So I'm going to take it in a little bit more. That's why some people don't like the parchment sling, and I wanted to show you, without having it cut the perfect size to begin. Oops, sorry, I'm out of frame. Without having it cut the perfect size to begin with, because it does take a little trial and error, because you may look at your pan and see the size of your pan and think, oh, well, I'll just make it that size. Well, no, it needs to be a little bit smaller because you want it to fit down in the pan and not be bunched up in the corners. So I think this is gonna be good. There we go. Third time was a charm. So now I've got it in there, and see, it's not bunched in the corners. So now I can give it a little crease on the side, and just make sure I'm keeping it flat. So if you wanted to you could stop there and, you know, use that as your sling. But I'm gonna go ahead and do the other direction as well. And I think I've got this, I'm gonna go a little smaller. So I'm just doing a complete sling. And your dessert is gonna still bake, you know, with the parchment paper in there. It's just gonna lift out when you're all done. And the other reason you wanna make sure that you have it, you know, cut correctly, not bunched up, you know, not big gaps on the side, is because when you're pouring in your batter, especially if it's a thinner batter, you don't want it to run underneath the parchment paper. That, you know, that just makes a big mess. Okay. All right, so now I lay that inside, and that one was much closer. It still needs to go a little bit smaller because now it's got the extra from the other layer of parchment paper. So I'm just going to fold it in a little bit smaller. And you'll see how I started with this one too big, and so you'll know the adjustments to make when you do yours. I think this one should be good. Okay, all right, then I bring that back, and then I lay this down in there. Hey, 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 third time was a charm. And now I've got a perfect parchment sling. Now I'll say the one thing that I would go back and fix, but it's easy to do because I can just fold it down, is I would put a little bit more butter or shortening. My freezers and refrigerators are coming on. I'd put a little bit more butter or shortening underneath there just to make sure that it sticks, the paper sticks, and then you're ready to pour in your brownie or whatever it is you're baking right into the center. And then when it's done, you'll be able to lift it right out and put it on a wire cooling rack. Turn your notifications on so you'll be notified when we post the next video in the Mastering the Details series. Until next time, I'm Pastry Chef Maria Kemp. See you soon.